So there is this scene from one of the epic movies of Indian cinema, wherein Jay goes to Basanti's Mausi's house with a proposal for his friend's marriage. You know the film, you know the scene, so I'm not going to build on that. But I want to give a different take and perspective to this. Now, as Jay builds on the vices of his friend and builds the case for a marriage proposal, the audience who have been aware of the antics of Veeru certainly starts loving him as a lovable rascal, right? And lovable rascals do make endearing husbands, girlfriends, and boyfriends. Now let's take a twist. If you are the interviewer and there is a candidate who is describing his sins, what will be your reaction? Will you hire or will you fire? The duo got hired by a very virtuous, ethical policeman, Thakur, to do a specific job, which is a reflection of today's business and scenario, right? So I'm Sanjay Modi, and I'm going to talk on 7 sinners that I would hire. So I will play Thakur, and you all guys are Mausis. Sorry, Mausis. Right? So the first one, gluttony, which is insatiable hunger for more. Hunger for change, hunger for action. We all know that a child who cries the most gets food first. And you know the concept, stay hungry, stay foolish. But the point that I want to make here is, a failure is mandatory. It is important. If you are sated, the overall growth and the trajectory comes to a standstill. It plateaus, right? So you have to have this hunger to go forward. Take the example of Elon Musk, right? It started with a great concept and an idea of global mass. Concept, car, big factories, and it did not stop there. Went on for SpaceX, and the hunger is going. So the first question I would ask the sinner is, tell me something about your varied experience and give me one particular instance where you failed. That's important, okay? Now, I don't know how many of you, but if you have seen a Zen master of calligraphy paint, there is somewhat stillness. The person is thinking, doing nothing. The paintbrush is pregnant with paint. And suddenly, in the spur of moment, he creates and the masterpiece is created. People call that meditation. I call it intermission. And what does it mean? That means that as we are in this run to achieve and that pace, do you have the courage to get off the treadmill? This is very important. You get off, you observe, you listen, and you think what needs to be done. Look at this tiger. There has been a lot of action previously, spots the prey, and there is complete stillness before he launches into an attack. Or a falcon who has spotted the prey, and just before the downward motion, there is complete stillness. Right? And in that moment, actually, things get created. I'll give you a personal example. Being in Monster, we had launched a Be Known app on Facebook, and that was actually for professional networking. And the whole company was looking at what next, how do we take it to phase 2? And suddenly somebody decided to get off the treadmill and observe and listen to what's happening. And you won't believe, we junked that idea. We acquired a company called Talent Bin, we launched social job ads, and redefined hiring in the social landscape. This is what it possibly does. So the question that possibly I would have for the sinner is, tell me, when you were in that midst of launch, just at the cusp, was there an instance wherein you took a step back and redefined the matrix, irrespective of the cost and the time overrun? That is the sinner I would like to hire. Pride, right? Absolutely. We have to be extremely proud of what we are doing. And adaptability to the fast-changing world, space, is a must. It is mandatory. Take the example of Kodak. It has been my favorite company, pioneer in film photography. Failed to see the advent of digital cameras. Nike and Canon, Nikon and Canon, they took over, right? And when they went back to the drawing board, they realized that this technology is something which they already had. They had so much of pride in what they were doing, they missed the bus, right? So the question for the sinner is, what you are proud of and why? The why will define the difference between the pride and the proud, right? This is important, and I think this is the essence and the core of our very being. Be lusty. What does it mean? Do what you love. It is a passion of an extreme level. It defines an intensity which translates your dream and idea into a reality. It is very, very critical in whatever you are doing. And I love this guy. Have you heard of Joshi Vada Pav Wala, Pune? He's moving around in his Beamer, going from one shop to the other because he believes his fare is the best in the world. He's so extremely passionate and proud of what he's doing. And that's the key, right? Now here, what you and me can do when we are looking at this entire space and we have to keep ourselves employable is, what is my true calling? Don't get boxed by the societal description of phases in life to be accomplished in certain frame of time. At 21, I will do this. At 23, I will do this. And in 25, if I do not do this, I will be a failure. Things don't happen that way. If you want to drop everything and go and see the world, please do it. Because possibly you will be able to identify your true calling. And that is important. So the question I will have for the sinner is, if I give you $1 million, what you will do about it? Right? And that possibly bring in the factor of saying, is that person getting into or doing what he or she just loved doing? This is important, and I'll take my personal example. I had been a national level table tennis player, and I think sports has made me whatever I am today. It has kind of defined my character and persona. And I can take you back to one of the Delhi state tournaments. It was 4:30 in the evening, it was winter, semi-finals. I was 2-0 down and 16-4 down. I looked up, I saw my competitor smiling because he already had thought that the match is in his pocket. It is difficult to define the moment, but then something happened. For me, it was game on. For me, it was 1 point after the other. And the match went on. I won that game at he being at 17, and I won the match, right? So what really happened? And how does it translate? Right? I was envious because I was top ranked, I was national ranked, I was losing the match, but the envy brought in a competitive grit in me. So the moral is, there is nothing called insignificant competition. There is nothing called monopoly. Hence, enjoy the competition. Look at the competition. Observe the competition. Because they are the ones who are going to give us the next idea. They are the ones who are going to tell us what we need to improve, how quickly, and how radically. Right? So that's very important. And my question to the sinner would be, give me one thing that you like in your competition, which you would like to bring in the organization you are about to join. Or to a startup entrepreneur to say, give me one startup in the competitive landscape whom you think is doing something which you would like to incorporate either today, maybe 3 months down the line. That's important. Intolerance, I think it has brought enough debate in the campuses. And I have taken the courage of putting that up right front. Hopefully, I will not create any debate out of it. So I will watch my words and phrases from here on. Wrath, intolerance for status quo. Change is inevitable, right? Because this is the only matrix that goes on and keeps hitting us either personally or professionally, whether we like it or not. And hence, our adaptability to this is a must. So if things are not changing, should you be intolerant and angry about it? The answer is yes. You should challenge the status quo, right? Otherwise, things will just not move. And this is Parshuram, and I think who brought in the biggest change. He was the one who brought Brahmins into the entire organizational hierarchy that time and woke up Kshatriyas from their delusion. And you can quote innumerable examples, right? Breaking of Berlin Wall was another act of intolerance. Hence, goes in your life as a student, as an entrepreneur, or as an employer, whether you would like to be intolerant to certain things when you feel that they are plateauing. That is where you would have read certain people saying, I just took a career jump, or I started doing something because they felt at a particular point there is nothing that they can learn, grow, or contribute. And they said, this is far more important, right? So my question to the sinner would be very simple. In an organization setup or in your own ventures, there are situations when others do not align to your thoughts. It makes you angry. But I will go a step forward to ask that person what you will do to convince those people to bring into your line of thought. You give up or you keep trying, you are persistent. Will you be the Parshuram? Or you will try and break a wall somewhere? That's important. Inexorable desire to succeed, right? I think in our societal setup, being rich, being famous, making lots of money is considered as a taboo. And I'm totally against that. I love being rich and famous. I love making a lot of money. I would like to dwell in luxuries, right? But means to ends is important. That I agree with, right? So these things of EBITDA, profit, market share, gains, etc., not bad at all. British colonization which went about and they captured a lot of territories, I'm against. Because the means adopted did not support the end. So as long as the means are supporting the end, I think I'm fine with that approach. Right? So my question to a sinner would be, anybody? That's a direct ripoff. So I would possibly ask the guy or the person saying, give me a couple of value systems that once you start your own venture or you are joining an organization that you would like to incorporate. That value system describes so much about a person from a desire to succeed to agree, because it's all a very fine line. Right? So the question is, this business, this life, this world will keep moving forward. It will keep changing. The pace of change may vary in different eras. The incorporation of technology may be different in different times, and it's seeing the peak right now. We don't know what's going to happen 5 years down the line. But are all of us employed? Now, when I say employed, with our mind, soul, and heart, or all of us are underemployed? Because what's going to happen is the organizations will continue to optimize resources, and they will weed out non-productive assets. That's the bottom line. Right? So what would be your sin? Right? I will possibly hire these sinners with one or more combination of the sins that I have just stated. What is important is, do you know your sin? And if you know it, you are lucky. Hold it, treasure it, nurture it, build it, give it strength. That's important. Take life as a marathon race and not as a 100-meter sprint. And when the choice comes to you to choose a Narayan or a Narayani Sena, the recommendation is, let's go for the Narayan, because the individual skill comes first. And that's what is important. Yeah? My sin is lust. I'm still working on it, and hopefully I'll continue to build on it. What's your sin? I'm Sanjay Modi, and I will again close with the dialogue from the same epic movie, Khandan ka pata chalte hi main aap sabko bata dunga. Thank you.